RHA seems like an incredible product.
Right.
Is it that maybe we're focusing not enough on RHA? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I do think it gets marginalized because of the excitement around the neuromodulator, because that's been the sort of the key anchor story for so long. But yeah, I mean, it's a great filler product, and certainly based on our early results today, that it's resonating. It's a great product. It's very natural in terms of the way that it looks. Um, I will say, you always look for the silver lining. The one benefit to us in having the neuromodulator delayed is that it's forced us to really focus on selling the benefits of the RHA line of products, not just here's our neuromodulator and oh, by the way, we have a filler, right? So it has allowed us to lean in. I think, it's validating our strategy too. It's certainly it's a great product. I think we've got a great strategy. We're being very targeted. And I think it speaks to the market that the market is hungry for innovation and new. And I think that, we've been sort of emboldened by sort of the strategy and the results that we have seen today. So yeah, I think it's a great product. And certainly once we get the neuromodulator approved, it's going to allow us to re-engage some of these accounts that might have said, hey, listen, it sounds like a great product, but I don't want to complicate things right now. I've got this suite of products and I've got bundled discounts. I don't want to do that. Or I'll use it for these select indications, but come back and talk to me when you get your neuromodulator. So yeah, I think it's a great product. And I do think that with the neuromodulator, we will get some additional leverage in these accounts.
Can you kind of frame what do you think that market looks like, where it's the percentage of people who will engage with you just if you have RHA on the market versus once DAXI comes on and is put into kind of proper offering for an aesthetics practice? How much larger is that?
Well, we've talked about sort of the world of injectable accounts in the US being roughly 40,000, and that we're focused on the top third or so, kind of the 15,000 accounts. And that, we said within that, not everybody's going to lean in with us. So maybe we get to half of those. At the end of Q1, we talked about being in roughly, a little over 1,500 accounts between our filler and HintMD. So we're still in a pretty small amount of those accounts. And we have certainly gone where people are more open to engaging with us. And I don't have a good sense right now for how many have said, come back and talk to me when you've got your neuromodulator, not interested right now, versus I'll start with you and we'll get going more later. But since we are targeted in our approach, by the time we get to some of these other accounts, we expect to have the neuromodulator. So we won't know whether or not they would have engaged with us without the neuromodulator, because we'll be going to them with sort of the combined product. So that's one of the nice things about the targeted strategy is, by the time we get to this broader group, we'll have sort of, the full bag of products.
And RHA had a great Q1 number,
Right.
And typically kind of a seasonally not great quarter, you did incredible. So I guess what's kind of your current views on the traction you're getting with that product line?
Yeah, we're encouraged, right? We've got 100 reps out there with certainly the numbers that we're posting. I think it speaks to this kind of narrow and deep strategy, which also has the benefit of credentialing the product because we're dealing with a lot of the leading injectors that are out there. As you said, seasonally, Q1 is a slower quarter. Now, we are in launch mode, so we are getting the benefit of not being completely limited to seasonality because, with the number of new accounts that we're adding, we're moving our way through this. But the thing that I'm really encouraged about is we're just hearing great things about the product, right? If anything, it's either for those that are leaning in, they love it because of natural and how easy it is to inject and how it works. For those that have chosen not to lean in, it's either hey, I don't want to give you more business because I don't want to upset the bundle, which I think our neuromodulator will help with, or, I'm not convinced that there's enough differentiation in the product. So come back and talk to me when you have your neuromodulator. But nowhere are we hearing, I don't like the product, right? I don't think it performs well.
And before we step away from aesthetics, I don't want to ignore HintMD.
Right.
And I know that there's kind of a movement or an update coming. Can you just describe kind of how HintMD fits into all of this?
Yeah, so HintMD is really our effort to offer something on the services side to practices that doesn't fall into the traditional loyalty programs that the competitors use. And by being a credit card processor, we sit right in the flow of funds. And so we then have access to source data, which we can then provide, unique insights and analytics to the practice. We can turn on subscription services, white label loyalty, all of these. And as we reported at the end of Q1, we doubled our processing volume from annualizing at 200 million at the end of Q4 to annualizing at 400 million at the end of Q1. The next software iteration will be the PayFac, which allows us then to have visibility to the source data. Right now, we're largely just doing credit card transactions. Once we introduce sort of the PayFac, it will open up flexibility for all these other things. And so we're piloting that right now. That's something that we expect to offer in this summer.
Okay. And again, I apologize. We only have so much time, but, we have Daxian Therapeutics, which is, an arguably larger market than aesthetics. We have the OLS wrapping up by year end. What should we kind of expect coming out of the OLS data? It's, open label, obviously. So, the data's looked fantastic so far, at least from, everything we've seen in CD. But can you just talk about maybe, what should we expect in Q4 from OLS?
Yeah, well, really, from a safety study perspective, we're looking at, kind of repeat dosing for different patients and then upping the doses. So, this is not so much about duration, which we've shown pretty clearly in the other ones, and more about sort of safety and tolerability. And so I don't expect a whole lot, new to come out of this data set other than to show that, the safety profile is consistent with what we've seen before. Patients tolerate repeat dosing and sort of different dosing levels. And so that will then be the gateway for us to be able to pull together the package and file for approval, which we said would be in 2022 and approval in 23.
Okay. And marketing in the therapeutics category, is that something that you'll build internally still? Are you trying to look for partners? Are you trying to figure that out as we speak? What's kind of your thought around therapeutics?
Yeah, well, we think that, right now with the focus on muscle movement specialists in North America, that we can, cover that audience of physicians with sort of 30 to 60 direct reps in the US. We've already hired a head of market access, so we're starting to go down that path. And given sort of the targeted nature of this injector group, we think that we can show the value with that. So right now our bias is to do it on our own in the US. And then we'll continue to look at whether or not it makes sense to partner it outside of the US.
Okay. And we only have a couple more minutes. So this is something that we get a lot of questions, especially from our European clients. They ask about ESG. And I know you have a report that you put out in January. Can you talk, Jessica, I know you're also investor relations and ESG. So can you maybe talk about some of the key initiatives that Revance is working on in the ESG role, Mark or Jessica or whoever wants, even Toby, whoever wants to answer?
Yeah, well, maybe I'll take it just for time's sake, because I know we're down to the last two. But yeah, I mean, I think for a company our size and where we are in our evolution, we're kind of leading on this, right? We're out in front of this, and partly because we think it reflects who we want to be as a company. We are focused, and we see the value in corporate governance. We want to build a great culture. We're also committed to solving unmet patient needs in terms of the technology. And we think when you roll all that up in the ESG report, it speaks to all of those. This is an evolution too, and we know that there's some things that we need to continue to get better on. But I think underpinning all of this, we believe it's going to make us a better company. And if you look at our location in Nashville, which is going to be our corporate headquarters and training center, we're more distributed because we think it's going to give us access to better talent. Our 2021 goals this year has a people component. 10% of the corporate bonus is tied to diversity, women in leadership, and things that we're doing to, make sure we're, a great company and that people want to come to work for us, because we also are going to be, competing for talent going forward. And we want to be good corporate citizens in the markets that we operate in. And again, we think all the way across sort of the ESG continuum that, if we execute well on these things, that will make us a more successful company. So more to come there. As you pointed out, Toby and Jessica, along with others, were instrumental in sort of helping pull this together. We did a fair bit of shareholder outreach as well to make sure that we're incorporating that in. And I think our governance scores are reflecting sort of the effort that we're putting in there as well.
It's very much appreciated. As I mentioned, I get more and more questions about ESG, especially starting, since 21. So, you're clearly building a premier company. So thank you for joining us.